fill my edge, it's pretty much $50 every time I fill it.
Yeah.
If it's on little under a quarter, it's $50. Used to be 30.
All right. All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order for the regular board meeting of the Todd County Commissioners. Today's date is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. Time is 9 a.m. Commissioners present, Kneisel, Newman, Erickson, and Becker. Absent today is Commissioner Kircher. Also present today, County Auditor Treasurer and Coordinator. And at this time, no representation from the County Attorney's Office. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
County attorney's here.
Would just like to add that we have our representation from the County Attorney's Office present now. Amendments to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment, and it would be for item 10.1, Todd County Ag Society update. They notified me that they would not be able to update today, and I'm asking to move this item to September 6th board meeting.
Okay. Any other amendments to the agenda? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
By Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent items.
Consent items today are the meeting minute approval for August 2nd, 2022, Long Prairie Lions one-day temporary on-sale liquor license, hire of part-time correctional officer Daniel Stuck, start to be determined, resignation of Richard Ziegler, part-time correctional officer 6/23/2022, hire part-time correctional officer Gabrielle Rittenauer, start date to be determined.
Okay, you've seen the consent items. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Auditor Treasurer.
Oh, this is different. Thank you, dear.
Did I miss something?
No, it's just how it's set up for me.
Oh,
I have a nice help that sets it up in the morning, but everyone sets it up a little different. First item I have then is the commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. The recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $209,809.03.
okay, you've seen the board action for the commissioner warrants totaling $209,809.03. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Again, background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $162,656.37.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants totaling amount $162,656.37. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes, thank you.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $64,047.98.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants totaling amount $64,047.98. $47.98. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman, discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
The next item I have is a car fleet vehicle purchase. Background is funds were allocated in the county motor pool for 2022's budget to support a vehicle purchase requested by the Soil Water Conservation District Division due to aging vehicles within the fleet. Communication with state bid vendors was done, and a new vehicle would not be delivered until 2024, given the current market availability. Due to the immediate need for the division, the bids from local vendors had been secured, and the recommendation of the attached vehicle purchase from NIAS Staples, Minnesota. The options are to approve the vehicle purchase or do not, and we are recommending to approve from NIAS Chevrolet dealership in Staples, Minnesota, a 2019 Colorado in the amount of $38,520.18. It is a budgeted item. And a little more history on this, I did reach out to our state bid dealerships up in Hibbing and in St. Cloud. Both of them had confirmed via email to me that nothing was available. Bids had closed already for 2023, and the soonest that I would be able to do something would be in 2024. I reviewed with Adam, the department head down there, since way back in March. We both have been looking via the websites on different dealerships, contacted some local dealerships. Nothing was available throughout the spring and summer, just nothing available. And just recently I reached out to NIAS one more time to find out, and they happened to have this Colorado truck that Adam felt was going to be very beneficial for their division, as they didn't need a full-size truck. And so he conferred that he would be happy with this vehicle if we could get it, so therefore I'm bringing it today.
Okay, thank you. You've seen the board action for approval for a purchase for a vehicle to add to the car fleet for a 2019 Chevrolet Colorado, totaling amount $38,520.18. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman, discussion.
Yes. I guess I'm a little bit concerned. This is for soil and water?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so how are they going to repay the county back?
I did pull out the contract that we have signed with them in September of 2021, and it says the duties of the county that the county shall provide without cost to the district is office space, equipment, vehicles, and supplies.
Vehicles are in there.
So, I do know, like in past, they've been very good about using grant money and doing
Right,
a match with
right.
us. But in this instance, there was no money to match or.
Okay. And when was that signed? Is it ever,
In September of 2021, and it was signed, I have a board action, September 7th of 2021. You signed it, I signed it, Dale Catterhagen and Tom Williams.
okay. So maybe that's something that, when that contract comes back up, that we should get some kind of a reimbursement back for a vehicle.
Something that the
Yeah.
next time we negotiate the contract, okay,
Thank you.
you bet.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
And the transfer funds, let me get here. The transfer funds for county ditch inspector hours. The background is the assessment cycle for the county ditch expenses closes annually on June 30th. The tracked hours of the ditch inspector's work on specific ditches is accumulated and requires transfer as an expense to each ditch system on its annual basis to align with accounting standards per the county board's past practice and resolution. So our recommendations is to approve the attached resolution to transfer $5,635 from Fund 40, which is the County Ditch Fund, to Fund 1, the General Revenue Fund for County Ditch Inspectors Department, which is the time of the ditch inspector worked on county ditches per the attached list. And it is a budgeted item.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the transfer of funds for the county ditch inspector hours. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. County Assessor, good morning, Chris.
Good morning. I am here today to present an abatement request by Tom and Michelle Eckel. Tom and Michelle Eckel had a mobile home on their parcel. Parcel is a Wycombe parcel. Parcel is 28-00184001. The mobile home was removed in 2020, but it was not removed from the assessed value and tax rolls. So the request is for removal for the 21 assessment and 22 assessments. Those reductions in value would be $33,600 for the 21 assessment and $32,200 for the 2022 assessment, which would result in a total tax refunded for 22 payable of $590. Your options today are to approve the abatement as presented or to deny. My recommendation is to approve. Total cost $590. This is not a budgeted item.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the abatement for Tom and Michelle Eckel. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel, discussion. Just an oversight, Chris.
Yep. He had brought in the paperwork, clearance sheet. It was signed. It was May 19th of 2020, and we had nobody in the office at the time except for myself and one front worker, and it was simply misfiled. So we missed it. It was a mistake on our part. We're here today to try to correct that.
Good enough. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Great River Regional Library. Welcome back. Seems like we just had you here, but time flies, I know that. Not that I'm unhappy to see you or anything, it's just.
Good. Yeah, we have a lot good things going on at the library. I'm sure Commissioner Kneisel keeps you informed after our board meetings, but we do try to do a round of visits with our counties after we pass our budget, just to give you a background on how it's working and what's to come. So Great River Regional Library, as you know, is our 6-county library system. We have 32 locations, and then the locker system in Sartell. Last year, the next page, we passed a strategic plan, and our new focus for the coming 5 years is the literacy and access remain. We've added library awareness, just getting people informed about what services are available to them, and then continuing with operational excellence. Continuing improvement is a major value at Great River. We also added a theory of change, that people in our communities can find and use trusted information they need to thrive. So that is why we exist and what we're here to bring to our communities. We want to develop a culture of literacy across the 6 county areas, a community collaboration with other organizations, and help people engage with their communities, both just with library services, but also in terms of civic engagement. We have 4 libraries here in Todd County: Eagle Bend, Gray Eagle, and Long Prairie and Staples are out pictured there. You may be aware that Eagle Bend has begun their building project. We've been talking about that for several years. There's actual construction happening at the site now, so things are starting to move ahead. We're hoping to be in the space probably within the next year. The Great River Board just approved the final blueprint at the last board meeting. And here in our libraries, we really ramped up programming this summer. We had dialed it completely back in the heart of the pandemic. Across the region, we offered over 800 programs this summer to kids throughout the region. You can see a couple of shots there from the local libraries doing story time in Staples, and I believe that other one may also be from the Staples City Council room. We also had a new collaboration with a nonprofit agency down in the Twin Cities called Every Meal that started around Christmas time, but it has continued over spring break and then throughout the summer, where we've been food distribution points in communities where it was most needed. Some of our smaller libraries opted not to take part in it this summer just because of space, but people were able to just come in and pick up food free of charge, no questions asked, through that collaboration with Every Meal. We also are offering Wi-Fi to go hotspots in all of our communities now. This, you may remember, was a CARES Act project that Todd County really boosted a couple of years ago. We now have state aid that continues to support that project, and we have Wi-Fi to go hotspots available at all 32 locations for checkout. And just last week, we started checking some of them out on demand, so they circulate wherever people request them, and they're available for 3 weeks checkout rather than just 1 week. So we're really excited about that. We've also been doing community collaborations like visiting farmers markets and different locations just to get the word out about library services. So July is when we set our annual budget for the following year, and that's per our joint powers agreement. We have to have that budget in place by August 1st and get it to our counties, and that's what our counties have asked us to do. That formula is also established in the joint powers agreement. So the county shares are determined by the number of borrowers, the size of the population of the county, and then the net tax capacity in relation to each other. So even if we have a flat budget, sometimes the budget fluctuates between the counties. This year's in numbers were really interesting. Like Stearns County went down in all 3 categories. Wright County went up in all 3 categories. So if you look at those top 2 lines, there may be a point in time where Wright County is actually the larger funder of Great River. It's getting closer and closer every year. I think it's $30,000 apart next year. So the growth in southern Wright County is really impacting the region, and it's also impacting those, in particular, how much Wright County is contributing to the total formula. Todd County's numbers went up partly because we are seeing a 3% budget increase for 2023, and partly because your population increased in relation to the other 6 counties slightly. And when I say slightly, we're talking about 0.1%, but it's enough to make those numbers bump around a little bit. If you go to the next slide, you can see all of the revenue sources that go into the 2023 budget. So Todd County is one of our smaller chunks of the pie, so to speak. I believe it's just over 3.5%. We are also continuing to use cash reserves and a surplus carryover from 2021 to support that budget. So last year we had just over $700,000 going into the 2022 budget in those 2 categories. We're in a spend down plan for the cash reserves section of that. So for 2023, we will be putting in about $543,000 worth of reserves. So that's where some of that increase is coming from on the county side, because we're starting to spend down that amount in reserves. When we first started putting reserves in the budget, we had just over 5.5 months of reserves. It went as high as 7%. And after the last audit, we're down to about 4.5 months. So we are trying to use those dollars wisely. And that carryover amount will continue to be part of the budget, but will fluctuate. So at the end of the year, rather than having the remaining dollars of the budget going into reserve, that just flows into the following year's budget. And that's something the board typically approves in November. The other big piece that you won't see on here, interest revenue declined pretty substantially post-COVID. So we were seeing over $100,000 worth of interest revenue going into our revenues overall, and that went to almost 0 in 2021. We're just building that back up. Interest rates are coming back up, so we're hopeful that that will continue to grow in the coming years. So overall, the Great River budget, as I said, will be about 3.14%. The reserves are the actual reserve amount. That's $230,000. The surplus will be $313,000. Todd County's contribution goes up slightly to $358,000. It's, I think, a 4% or 6.79% increase total. The average county increase is about 4%, but as I said, that's largely a function of how the formula is working right now. And I anticipate that'll fluctuate again next year because our borrower numbers did decline pretty substantially post-pandemic, and they're just starting to grow back. Dollars provided per capita is a number we're pretty proud of at Great River. Across the state, if you scroll just a little further down, you can see the statewide average for providing library service is about $39 per capita. Great River, using all revenue sources, delivers that at about $20 per capita. Todd County pays about $14 per capita, and you can see the average for per county within the region is about $15.28. So you're slightly below what some of the other counties are providing, and you can see here that Wright County number is pretty much the top of the list right now, and I think that will continue as we see the growth, especially around St. Michael. I think Christine Hewsome, the commissioner from Wright County last month at our board meeting, said there were over 740 homes put in just in the Otsego area in the last year. So it's kind of astounding to think about how many more people are in Wright County than there used to be. I think one of the factors too that I didn't mention is, 70% of our costs are personnel, and we have 2 union contracts that expire at the end of the year. So we're hopeful that those will be positive discussions. We have a pretty good relationship with our unions, but that's one of the major impacts as well on our overall budget, is just those personnel costs and knowing that those contracts are expiring. So I thank you for your support of Great River. We're very happy to have Todd County as part of our 6-county area. We learn a lot from this area. It's a great place to experiment, and you have some communities that just really support their buildings themselves. It's nice not to have to worry about whether the roof is leaking, and that's not something you can take for granted. So again, thank you for your support, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions? Anyone? Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. All right, Todd County HRA. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, I don't think I'm going to completely read this because you guys have it. But I have been with the HRA for 26 years. And my name's Kim Wallace. I know Gary because he's come to our meetings. I get a little nervous.
You change the times on them so much that,
What?
you change the time so much on them.
Oh, I know. I have one working board member and his time fluctuates, so we have to get him when we can get him. However, to bring that up, because that was at my end, he is your district, and his last meeting is August 31st, so I'm going to need you to find me a person,
Oh, okay.
so that you know.
He's not gonna do it again?
He's moving out of the county,
Oh,
so he can't. Okay, so the HRA, we have a baseline of 162 vouchers that we can have on. However, it goes by a budgeted amount. So currently, we probably have on I don't know, I think we have 135 clients on right now. Our budget for the voucher rental assistance program this year is $665,222. Our vouchers are portable, so you can get them issued and they can be moved to another county, city, or state. Currently, one's in Cass County, one's in St. Cloud, and one's in Orange County, California. We have mainstream vouchers. We have lots of mainstream vouchers. These are vouchers that are for people who are non-elderly disabled, so between the ages of 18 and 62. And we only have 38 of them right now being utilized, so we have lots more that we can go up. So if you know anyone that's non-elderly disabled, they can apply for a voucher, and then they can look for housing. Some of the demographics, we have 55 elderly households, 101 disabled head of households, 25% are working households, 4% are on public assistance, 18 have been on the program more than 10 years, and 134 are extremely low households. Our voucher waiting list, it's changed it was 61. This morning when I looked, it was 77. So the 7 elderly, 13 are disabled, and 42 are extremely low on the waiting list. And anyone who's eligible for a mainstream voucher, as soon as they apply, we issue the voucher immediately so they can look for housing. The regular voucher program has a 3 to 6 month wait. We are also the owners of Sunrose Courts Apartments, and this is an 18-unit public housing building where they pay 30% of their income towards rent. Heat, water, sewer, and trash are included. They pay their electric bill. Hillside Apartments, we purchased this building. It went through a sheriff's sale from USDA, and this is a 23-unit building. And we have 5 project-based vouchers to it, and it's currently full other than 2 units, and the 2 units, a resident left water on and damaged 2 of the units, so we're currently rehabbing them. And then in 2018, so since I haven't been here, I don't think since before 2018, we also have a management contract with Long Prairie HRA, which is Prairie View Manor, and they're also a part owner in Rikard Place, and they run the Merle program in Long Prairie. So I have been doing that since 2018 through Todd County as well. And then we also had Bertha Manor Apartments, which is a USDA 515 building, transferred to us in 2019. 11 of those units have rental assistance, and the other 5 are at $590 for rent. And we are in the process of, we were approved for $427,000 of our RDL grant with Minnesota Housing, and I'm almost ready to go to closing with that so that we can start work on that. And we're doing windows, updating lighting, parking lot, and exterior entry doors. And then I kind of listed what the federal funding spent in Todd County for 2022 is. I forgot to add on to your guys's, the Long Prairie, Prairie View Manor capital funding in the amount of $76,123, and their operating, which is $62,239. So that brings the total federal dollars up to $1,003,334. And I do have vacancies on my board. I have District 2, District 4. She's just staying on until there's a replacement. And then District 5 is open as well. So if you know of anybody, I did put an ad in the paper a couple weeks ago. And I did have a couple people contact me about that. I don't know what districts they were from or if they were wanting any more information or not. I was on vacation last week, so I didn't get to call one of them back to answer more questions, so I will be doing that today. And so that's it. So I do the rental assistance program for Todd County. We help lots of people. That's all I got.
Okay. Is there any questions, commissioners?
Yes, do you have a list of requirements for these people that we would appoint?
It's just with anybody who's willing to be on it. I mean, there's not really a list of requirements.
Okay,
Just anybody can be on it. They get paid a per diem and mileage. We meet once a month. It's the last Wednesday of the month.
mileage, any per diem?
Yeah, currently it's at 50
Okay.
a meeting.
Kim, the grant that you're getting, is that work to be done in the Bertha?
Yeah, the
Bertha Manor?
RRDL fund, yeah. It's technically a grant loan. It's a
Okay, grant loan,
It's
okay.
through Minnesota Housing. It was the last of the RRDL, and I don't know what that acronym stands for. Sorry, I should have wrote that out. But
Okay.
I applied for it a couple years ago. Actually, before we even got the building, I applied for it. And then we were awarded it. But because we had vacancies issues when we got that building, there were only 6 units that were rented. And now we have all of them. Well, I've got 3 open now, but that's just because they just opened, but we have people going in. Anyway, I had to wait a full year before they would.
Okay, but the work is going to start, or is starting, or?
We're hopefully going to closing within the next 30 days, so that then, and I heard closing takes 90 days, so.
Okay. Are local contractors doing that work for you, or?
I don't, I can't
You don't
say
have
any
that.
of that right now.
Okay.
Because we don't have anything signed or anything until we go to closing, so I can't.
Okay.
But it did go out to bid and everything, so we're just waiting for Minnesota Housing now.
Can I ask, you said that you put an ad in the local papers, and sometimes we'll get calls. And when Commissioner Newman asked if there was any qualifications, can you just tell what this person would have to do at one of these meetings? Because people ask, well, what do I need to do? Well,
What do I need to do? Well, they approved the bill, like all of our HAP payments, the rent assistance that we pay that go out to the landlords, they approve those. They approve any of the bills for Sunrose Courts, Hillside, and Bertha Manor. And Long Prairie is separate, so Long Prairie has their own separate board, but Todd County's the one that needs the members. And that's pretty much it. They just have to be from the correct district, and then I don't think there's really any qualifications.
I just thought maybe you would want somebody that has like construction background, or they don't get into any of your apartment side of it. They don't make any of those kind of decisions. They're just a
Well,
governing.
they approve like who we're having do things, and they do that.
Okay.
And right now, we do have a contractor, well,
He's leaving.
he's leaving on the board, so. And we've had in the past realtors, I think we've had, somebody that worked in the hospital. I had another commissioner that was previously, worked for the HRA, so,
Variety.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. Todd County Historical Society. Good morning.
Well, this morning I will start with a first thank you to Todd County and the Board of Commissioners over the years for the support that they have given the Todd County Historical Society and Museum. To the best of our knowledge, somewhere along the way, $6,500 was granted to help support the museum when it moved over to the Central Avenue location, and a few years later, it was raised $8,500, and it has been that way for many years, probably close to 20 years. Our mission is to preserve the artifacts that are important to the people who established Todd County and have maintained it over the years. And we have a huge inventory, most of which is displayed, but a great deal of it is in storage because we just don't have the space. Hopefully, some of you were able to go through the Historical Society building out at the fairgrounds. You folks helped renovate and fix the outside of the building with the siding and the roofing, and the Historical Society put in new lighting, some fans for ventilation, and the paneling so that it's not quite as dark and dreary as what it was. Anyway, we have been operating the last 2 years like almost any other organization with the COVID restrictions, and it's really changed the whole nature of the way we operate. Prior to COVID, we had 2 employees, director and an assistant, and throughout the COVID, when we were able to be open, we had the director as such. And I included some numbers in one of the memos to you folks. showing the cost for wages prior to COVID, during the shutdown, and during the period, and then this past year that we have tried to get back to normal. I guess moving to where we're looking and requesting an increase in support for a couple of reasons. One, our director claims she's not getting any older, but we all know the truth. And one of these years, she's going to want to retire. In addition to that, the Historical Society membership has expressed its concern about the safety for the director and really the need for having two people in that building during our hours of operation. And so we've been looking for, and we put the search for an assistant director on hold with COVID. And now with the hopeful end of COVID restrictions, we're out actively seeking a replacement for the assistant director. And hopefully we can find someone who will move into the position of an executive director. With technology, we need somebody who is tech savvy, at least computer savvy, and can use the internet carefully and expeditiously. So those are some of the things we're looking at, our needs for the future. In the meantime, we've tried to be good stewards of the support that Todd County has given us. And hopefully at some point, we can host the members of the board and give you a detailed tour of all of the things that we do, the resources we have, and we have a phenomenal collection of country school records and personal experiences from those country schools. We have all of the we have a good share of the newspaper
On microfilm?
on microfilm. And of course, they're a great resource, and we have a lot of requests for people wanting to find out what happened at some point in the past. It takes someone with some technical skills to operate and pull out that information quickly. So we're here this morning to ask that you consider raising the stipend from $8,500 to $15,000. We will be very, very happy with any kind of increase, but $15,000 would provide us with the opportunity to hire a second person, and we all know what's happened to wages over the last few years, and to find someone who has some skills. We're going to have to pay them probably more than the current wages. I think right now we're paying $12.50 an hour, and if we're going to compete with McDonald's down here on the corner, we're going to have to go at least to 15. So we would like, as you prepare the 2023 budget, your consideration of our request. And like I said, we are happy with everything that we have been given, and we would be happy with an increase, but $15,000 would allow us to operate in the future. So if you have any questions of Dee or myself, we'd certainly be willing to try to answer them for you.
Commissioners, questions?
I have a few things I'd like to just
Go
tell
ahead,
you
Dee,
about,
sorry.
all the information that we have at the museum. You know, many people have no idea what we have there. And we have 400, almost 500 rolls of microfilm. And on each roll is the newspapers from the different paper companies here. And it's the Long Prairie Leader and the Clarissa paper, used to be the Burrardville paper. And on each film, it's a whole year that they have. And so if you come in and want to know something about 1921, we just go to our microfilm, and we worked hard and raised money to get a new printer reader, and we can put the film on there and show you what you're looking at. And with our new equipment that we got through grants and stuff, we can hit the print button and we can print out your information and hand it to you. So that's a big plus for lots of things. And then on our country schools, there's 162 country schools in Todd County. We have them all combined into each year, each country school, and in 3-ring binders. So if you come looking for history on country school 150, we can just pull out the binder, give it to you. And if you want something from that, we can take a copy of it right away and hand it to you. So we have lots of good things going. And then we have lots of files on the history, the different organizations in town. We get lots of our information from the newspapers that we take out through the years. And people bring us information. I'm working on trying to get all the stores that used to be in town. I'm trying to get those people that own the stores to write the history of their business, so we have it on file at the museum. Because a lot of people call and want to know, or stop in and want to know the history of, say, the Ben Franklin, or the Long Prairie, can't think of it, the bowling alley in Long Prairie. You know, we have some information because we work hard going through stuff and keeping records. So those are lots of things that need to be done. And we also do lots of genealogy on the computer. So we're busy over there. And we have lots of good information. We get lots of good comments on our museum and the history and the information we have available. But it takes lots of time to get all of that collected and properly put away where it belongs. So that's all I have to say. I try to work hard and not to mess anything up.
We also have the Staples World
Oh, yeah.
on microfilm.
Mm-hmm.
We really try, even though some of us are kind of Long Prairie oriented, we really try to be a county historical society. And we do get requests from all corners of the county for information. The county schools, we have a map and register of all the cemeteries in Todd County. It's amazing. And we try to be a county historical society. And during the fair, a young, I'll call them young couple, brought in a 1928 fair, Todd County Fair premium book in beautiful condition. And what's neat, and one of the things, when we are able to, not only would we have businesses from this area, but that is a resource for doing research on businesses throughout the county. And it's really kind of it was a really exciting find and amazing contents of that. So again, we thank you very much. We look forward to what happens with the 2023 budget. And by all means, if maybe after one of your work sessions, it would work out for the 5 of you to come down, we'll give you a tour, a detailed tour of what we have to offer to the residents of Todd County. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question. You said you're open 15 hours a week. What days are you open? When are you open?
We're open Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and we're open from 11:30 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And we're open by request too.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And we did a lot of school tours or school,
Well,
reunions.
we,
Okay.
well,
Yep.
in the past, we've invited the fifth grade classes throughout the county to come and tour the museum. That's usually when they start or have finished studying Minnesota history. That's one of the things. A couple of weeks ago, the First Baptist Church here in Long Prairie asked if we would be open during their 150-year celebration. D opened up. The class of 1982 had a class reunion. D opened it up. And of course, now this Saturday, we have the trike and bike rally here in Long Prairie out at the fairgrounds. And the building, the Historical Society building, there will be open, I believe, from 1 until 7?
Oh, on Thursday,
Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, Friday and Saturday?
Friday, it's only from 4 till
Okay.
closing. But
Okay.
Saturday, there's more going on, and we're open from 1 to 4,
Okay.
or
so-
7, you know, whatever.
Well, I don't know what your hours are. You're
I don't
the,
either some
you're
days.
the decision maker on that, but anyway, I know we're there to serve the people. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you.
I should have mentioned maybe this microfilm we're talking about. When I started working at the museum, it was $30 a roll. Now it's 90, so that's how much all that stuff is.
Sure.
And,
You folks understand what
Yeah.
happened to Quas.
yeah.
So-
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we do have a board action
Yep.
on
Can I-
this item.
yep.
Yep. So, Mr. Chair, I was gonna move, number 1, and approve a one-time grant of $6,500 of ARPA funds in addition to the $8,500.
Okay.
And then I would like to see this brought back in 2024, next spring, and we can readdress it. But for now, for 2023, allocate that money.
And Mr. Chair, I think, just to clarify that a little bit, when we received the request from the Historical Society, the initial request, much of the documentation was around the COVID pandemic and how that really affected you as a historical society, and it was difficult for funding opportunities. And then the second request was more around the additional help that's needed. So I think doing that one-time appropriation is appropriate, but then coming back and really understanding what those numbers are and what your counts are for people coming in to visit and those kinds of details. So I agree with Commissioner Newman on having that revisit next year.
Okay. Yep, go ahead, Jerry, if you have some comment.
Well, if this motion passes a year from now, should we be back asking for the 2024 allocation, or will that become?
We would probably bring that back as a request at that time, Jerry.
Okay.
Yep, and give you some heads up on it and maybe information we're looking for and stuff like that.
And that way we can run it to the Finance Committee.
Yep. We're pretty much done already with our budget for 2023, so if we do it a little bit more ahead of time next time for the next year, it would be beneficial.
We started this in June, our
Yeah.
first letter.
Yep.
Okay. When did you start the budget process?
Well, we start that pretty early, May.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify that,
Change.
well, and the request was due to COVID. So when we considered this, we looked at that one-time funding opportunity to give you kind of a kickstart.
Okay. Well, if we had been aware of that, we could have brought you some other information, but thank you. We
Mis-
will,
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yep.
I think just for board record, it would be good if Chris would read the background and the
Sure.
whole action,
Sure.
So I can get it for documentation.
Sure.
That way you'll understand too what we're offering today.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the background on this is the Todd County Board of Commissioners has budgeted an annual appropriation to the Todd County Historical Society in the amount of $8,500 per year as outlined in the March 1st, 2006 lease agreement. Todd County Historical Society is requesting an increase to $15,000 a year due to increased operating and maintenance cost and significant reductions in admissions, grant writing, and traditional fundraising events due to COVID-19. The Finance Committee has reviewed the letter of request. The Finance Committee discussed options, including a one-time use of ARPA funds in response to increased maintenance and operating costs and reduced revenues due to COVID-19. And the options are to approve a one-time grant of $6,500 ARPA funds in addition to the $8,500 as outlined in the lease agreement in response to increased maintenance and operating costs and reduced revenues due to COVID-19, or to approve the increase of annual appropriation to $15,000 and update lease agreement, or to continue with current appropriation of $8,500 as outlined in the lease agreement. And the recommendation is to approve a one-time grant of $6,500 in ARPA funds in addition to the $8,500 as outlined in lease agreement in response to increased maintenance and operating costs and reduced revenue due to COVID-19.
Okay, seen the board action with the options up there, and I believe we had a motion for option 1.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Newman, second by Kneisel. Is there any discussion?
Yes, if I may, just so we have this clarified, in 2023, they'll be receiving the 8,500 plus the 6,500, which would make it 15,000.
Correct.
Next year, they'll come in front of the board for a request of the 15,000 going forward. Am I
Yes.
correct on that?
Yep, and then we'll run that through the Finance Committee.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Yep. 10 and 10.1 were pulled. Number 11, Public Works.
Thank you.
Morning, Lauren.
First item on the agenda this morning for Public Works is a request for final payment authorization for our 2021 HSIP striping contract. The background is of this contract was let in 2021, but due to material shortages, we needed to delay that for completion for this year. Once the contractor received the necessary materials, he completed the work this year. So our two options are to approve the attached resolution and do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment to Traffic Marking Services for the $5,546.12.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the final payment authorization for the 2021 HSIP striping contract. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Our second item on the agenda is a request from the City of West Union. Recently, we were at a meeting at the City of West Union to discuss a project on the realignment of County Road 46 with Commissioner Newman. And at that meeting, the city had some discussions and concerns regarding the speed limit on County Road 46 south of town. As with that, they attached a letter requesting that the county request MnDOT to do a speed study on this stretch. So Denise, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down, I'll just show the quick map of that area. So basically from West Union there, the downtown area at the intersection of 46 and 51, then going southwest, taking the curve or corner going south all the way down. On this map, it's listed as Oak Street, but it is County Road 46 going south. If you continue down all the way down to the interstate or the off-ramp. The concern from the residents is that the people are coming off the interstate going very fast. driving into town, they feel they're in excess of an appropriate speed. So with that, I guess our two options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation is approve the attached resolution, requesting MnDOT to conduct a speed study on County Road 46 from the Interstate 94 all the way to the intersection of County Road 51 inside the city limits of West Union.
Okay, I've seen the board action to approve the speed study. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Excellent. Our next item on the agenda is a request to set a 2022 fall road meeting. With that, I provided a few dates in November for the board to consider to come out for our fall road meeting. Fall road meeting is typically held at our Long Prairie shop, and we always have it at 9, but we are open to any changes in time or location if the board chooses.
14 for me.
The 14th?
I'm good with the 3rd and the 14th on.
Yeah, either the 3rd or 14th. 14th is fine.
Mr. Chair, the 14th of November looks to be a Personnel Committee meeting.
Could we do it after personnel? The road meeting?
I think
Have
so.
it at 10 or 10:30 instead of at 9?
What do you think, Rod?
Yeah, that would work for me. Want to do it after? Can we do it a little later in the morning? Lauren?
Absolutely.
Do a 10:30 or something?
Yeah.
Hour and a half meeting?
Yeah.
Sure.
This is the fall road meeting.
This
I got
goes,
spring on the board action.
this one goes pretty quick.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it is spring.
It is
Oh,
spring.
do I have it listed?
Yeah.
You're moving forward pretty quick.
Wow,
Yeah.
I found my error.
Spring and November.
Yeah.
Still thinking spring, sorry about that.
They're going, I'll have a motion for, Monday, November 14th then, at 10:30, for the
Okay.
road meeting.
All right, there's been a motion for the fall road meeting for November 14th, 10:30 a.m. at the Long Prairie shop.
For the fall road meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Solid waste. I seen him.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We were talking to Mike's mom out there.
And she can talk.
So we have this board action to present to you for final payment to Fratellone Companies for the excavation of the cells in the demolition landfill. We talked to highway engineer Lauren Feldbaum, and he told us this is how we do final payment, so.
Yeah.
There you are. I think we learned from the best there, just to present this to you for that final payment. When we prepared this, we had not yet received the IC-134 forms. I believe we are still missing the consent of surety. So our request for you is to approve the final payment contingent on receipt of those closing documents.
Okay, you've seen the board action to approve the final payment for the demo cell final payment request. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman, discussion?
Yes. I think we had this discussion a little bit last week in Burrville too. This is budgeted and no, so how are we paying for it?
So because the solid waste fund, or department runs on an enterprise fund, we
Right.
actually have cash in our account that we carry over from year to year. So there is cash in the account that we can use to pay for this. As we move forward, you know, the demolition cell is a revenue generating fund. So the revenue we generate, you know, roughly, we receive around 8,000 yards a year. So 8,000 times 15, that's about $120,000 a year. But another topic, Commissioner, on that is closure of cells. So one of the things that we've put in our capital improvement plan is actually adding additional funds for the closure of our cells as well.
Okay. So this will actually be paid out of your excess funds or
That-
your,
That's correct, Commissioner. The funds that we use for running our department are completely separate from your levy,
right.
so.
Any other questions?
No, just when I opened my board packet on Friday, I went, oh my God, I'm gonna have to pack a lunch here. 356 pages.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was you guys. So it was just like,
Did you read
wow.
through it all? Yeah, right.
There was a lot of speed reading through those.
Some of his assistants did that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
My finger
Thank
got
you, guys.
tired flipping through it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Health and Human Services. We have the A-team today, look out.
What's that?
I said we have the A-team today,
That's
look
right.
out.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
All right, a couple board action forms here to present this morning. First one being to approve the federal fiscal year 2023 low-income home energy assistant program and low-income household water assistance program grant contract. Some background, the Todd County Health and Human Services will administer and deliver the energy assistance program and household water assistance program to Todd County residents with federal fiscal year 2023 beginning October 1st, 2022. The Office of Legislative Auditor requires the Minnesota Department of Commerce to ensure service providers maintain an effective internal control system and appropriate management of public funds. The internal controls documentation helps meet this requirement by documenting specific aspects of a service provider's internal controls. The ICD is organized in accordance with the United States Government Accountability Office's standards for internal control and federal government. Your options: to approve federal fiscal year 2023 low-income home energy assistance program and low-income household water assistance program grant contract, or to not approve. It's our recommendation to approve the federal fiscal year 2023 low-income home energy assistance program and low-income household water assistance program grant contract.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the low-income home energy assistance program, low-income household water assistance program. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker, discussion?
Yes, Jackie, water was added, was that a year ago or 2 years ago?
I think it
Last
was
year.
last
It was last year.
Last year, and they're continuing with the water program this year.
Well, okay, you see a lot of use in that or not, or?
I didn't bring the numbers with,
Okay.
but we served quite a few households.
You did?
Mhm. And for the water program, it just requires that they have a past due bill
Okay.
versus having to have a disconnect notice. Actually, last year, the crisis program too only required a past due bill, but this year they're reverting back to the policy that, that only applies for seniors. So, seniors can get crisis with just having a past due utility bill, where, everyone else has, requires a disconnect.
Disconnect bill. Okay,
Yes.
and I see budget is not budgeted, how do we, or should it be?
It's federally funded.
It's federally funded, okay.
Yes. Just, if you're interested in knowing that, the funding this year is going back to pre-COVID funding.
Oh, it is.
So the income guidelines are being reduced from, last year it was 60% of the state median income, and that's going back to 50%. The maximum grant in 2022 was $2,000. That's going back down to $1,200. And the crisis amount for last year, for 2022, was $3,000, and in 2023 is going back down to $600. So it's going to,
Especially with inflation, it could really affect a lot of households.
yes, it's going to be an eye-opener, I think, as benefits, the benefit amounts go back to what they were pre-COVID.
Anything else? Any other questions, commissioners? Otherwise, we had a motion by Kneisel, second by Becker to approve. Hearing no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, our next board action form is to request to hire a social worker for the Todd Integrated Dispositional Alternatives. Some background. The primary purpose of the social worker position is to work with adults with mental health and/or substance abuse disorders who are connected to the criminal justice system. This position will fill a vacant adult services social work position. We did, this is in conjunction with the county attorney's office, sheriff's office, corrections, and, Mike's team, our health and human services. Our options are, your options are to authorize the hiring of one social worker or not to authorize. Our recommendation is the authorization to hire a social worker to begin work on this program.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the request to hire the social worker under the Todd Integrated Dispositional Alternatives. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Good luck with that. I hope it
Hopefully we
goes
get
well.
some applicants.
Yes.
Hope we get some results.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
All right, administration.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The topic we have today is approve the membership agreement and bylaws of the Better Health Collective. The background being Sourcewell Insurance Pool has changed their name to the Better Health Collective Employee Health Benefits Pool and has requested the attached membership agreement and bylaws be passed by resolution by the Commissioners of Todd County. This document has been reviewed by our county attorney. Options being approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution, and recommendation being to approve the attached resolution, and the document is 24 pages long, right?
Yeah.
Another 24 pages. You've seen the board action for the membership agreement and bylaws of the Better Health Collective. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning and zoning. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Commissioners. My first item this morning is the Pine Tree Estates final plat. Pine Tree Acres was approved for final platting on July 5th. Upon recording, excuse me, it was discovered that Pine Tree Acres already exists as a plat in Todd County. The applicants have submitted a new Mylar with the name correction of Pine Tree Estates. Nothing changes on this one. All the conditions and everything you see in front of you are the same as the original board action for Pine Tree Acres. And then the last note is that we have completed a review of this application and determined it's ready for final platting, and that this action will replace board action 20220705-14. The option would be approve the final plat as presented or deny the final plat, and the recommendation would be approval of the final plat to establish Pine Tree Estates.
Okay, you've seen the board action to approve the final plat for Pine Tree Estates. Looking for a motion.
So move.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, has the township approved anything? Have you got anything in writing from them?
This was one that I actually sat down with one of the township board members when we were going through the process.
But did you get the minutes from the town board meeting?
No, that I don't have on file. But this one has already been through preliminary platting and final platting, actually. It was just a name change. To that. Nothing else is changing on it. It's just a name change to a plat that was already finalized, but we needed to change the name on it.
Okay.
Because of an already existing plat.
Right,
with
you
the
cannot
same
have two
name.
plats of the
Yeah.
same name.
So they had to change it because
Yep.
somebody caught it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That was my question.
Right, we looked at, and I think, John, you actually met with Chris and Linda on this one and established this was the best way to handle it. And we'll try to do this up front. And our application says you need to check with the recorder's office in your application process. But this wasn't caught until later somehow. So we're gonna check with these up front rather than having it be this process.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, Joseph E. Borntrager request for CUP. An application for a conditional use permit was received on June 28th for establishment of a butcher shop on parcel 0700188800 in Eagle Valley Township in AF2 zoning. The item was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August 4th public hearing, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. 1, adequate space shall be provided for off-street parking. No parking will be allowed within the road right-of-way. 2, disposal of waste products shall be disposed of in a manner that complies with all federal, state, and local standards. 3, the applicant must obtain all licenses prior to start of the operation. And 4, the applicant must abide by all the applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be to grant the CUP with those proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand it back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. And the recommendation would be to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and to grant the conditional use with those proposed conditions.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the CUP. Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion with discussion.
Okay, motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman, discussion?
Yeah, I had a township member call me about this. He was worried about them doing, this is a Amish
Butcher shop.
butcher shop, so he was worried about, following state rules.
Right. Yep, I talked with him this morning also. There are certain things that we can regulate and other things we can, so that's why those conditions are placed in there, that they get those appropriate licenses. I believe setting these conditions gives us every right to request copies of those licenses to be sure that they're in compliance with it. If they don't have those right licenses, we then could go through an enforcement process or something, being that those are conditions. I have the contacts for those ag inspectors. I believe something like this actually falls under like a grocery store type license, but that's certainly something I'm going to investigate. The applicant also was stating that they were going to or had a contract with Central Buy for disposal of carcasses and stuff, which we can try to see if we can get a copy of that from him also to have on file as proof that they're being disposed of properly.
I found it interesting at the meeting and only learned at the meeting that there's lots of different levels of licensing
Yes.
for butcher shops, depending on what you're all gonna do and how you handle it and whether or not you're storing meat or not storing meat and whatnot. He seemed very up on all those different license levels and was aware of what his license level he could do and couldn't do.
I know years ago, there was a guy by Bertha that did butchering by his farm,
Mm-hmm.
but he was quit because he had updated his septic system. So
Mm.
they told him he had to update his septic system, so.
Yeah, I believe that this butcher shop would more fall under the ag licensing.
Yeah,
For-
I don't know for sure on that.
There were questions that night in
USDA.
regards to that, and he
Yes.
seemed to be very up on what he was aware of what he
Right.
could do and couldn't do.
My question is if, and for some reason, if someone found an error on his part, what does the county have? What authority do we have to come back and to make it correct?
If he didn't get the appropriate licenses or anything
Yes.
like that?
Yes,
Um,
or if discarding of his materials or so forth was not done correctly.
Sure, it's a condition of the conditional use permit. If they're not abiding by those conditions, the county board has the right to review that and either do some sort of enforcement with the county attorney's office support, or you could, with our, what's the right term? Take away the CUP, and then you couldn't operate. You must, in order to operate, you have to abide by those conditions that are a part of it. So the county has some authority in there to make sure that those things are complied with. And we can request copies of them from the applicant and have those on file. If there's expiration dates or anything like that,
And there
we
would
can
be.
get them. Oh, I would imagine so, that there's
Absolutely.
annuals or fees
Yes.
or something that have to be paid. Yep.
That has to be
Yes.
posted right on site.
Yeah, I would think so
Wise
too.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep, and there should be an inspection done also. I would think
I-
a
yep.
yearly inspection
I'm sure
should
there's
have
one
to be
done
done.
previous also.
Yep, before they issue a license, I would imagine they are on site inspecting things and that too. Yep.
Is there any way that the county can ask to receive a copy of those licenses as he obtains them, to make sure that we are?
I would
he is
suspect you
getting them?
can. I don't know that with certainty. We could request them from the applicant, certainly. Or I could reach out to the Department of Ag or whoever does the licensing of these sort of things to request those copies. I would imagine, like most things, they're public information.
I would think so, but to me, it's just, it would be safeguarding,
Sure.
being that you're handling food and meat, to be able to have that on file.
So is this something you would check annually on this particular one?
Potentially, yeah. At least for a while. Depends on the expiration dates of those licenses too. And we can set reminders in our permitting system that pop up as emails to go back and check these sort of things.
Yeah.
Any other questions, concerns, discussion? If not, we had a motion by Kneisel, second by Newman to grant with the conditions, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Can I ask a question? Should we make that as a condition on this, or is it necessary to do that? Or is it
3 and 4.
understandable written here that must attain all license number 3?
3 and
That
4
would be
pretty
on
much
there
address
already,
it.
correct?
Correct.
But it doesn't say the county would receive a copy.
I think that's implied in the condition. That
That-
you can
that would be-
absolutely request that from the applicant, and it very likely public information also.
Okay. As long as it's covered.
Discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay. Eli J. Schrock requests for CUP. An application for conditional use permit was received on July 6th for the establishment of a sawmill on parcel 0900257000 in Germania Township, NAF1 zoning. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August 4th public hearing. And the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. The hours of operation shall be restricted to 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Saturday. The operation site shall meet all the setback requirements for the zoning district in which it is located. There should be no loading or unloading of materials within the road right-of-way, and the applicant must abide by all their applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be to grant the CUP with those proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation would be to adopt the findings of the planning commission and grant the CUP with the proposed conditions.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the request for the CUP for Sawmill. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to throw one condition on this, that all road conditions or restrictions must be obeyed when applied, because this is a county road, and you
It's a
start
county
hauling
road.
logs on that. Sometimes you can get overweight. So. That's County Road 22.
So condition number 5, that all road restrictions must be followed when applicable.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Discussion wise? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay. The Nathan Paulzine request for CUP. An application for a conditional use permit was received on July 11th for establishment of a ground-mounted community solar energy system on parcel 2600323300 in Ward Township. The property is both AF1 and AF2 zoning. The item is reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August 4th public hearing, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the CUP with the following conditions: that the applicant must obtain permitting and or licensing from additional government agencies as necessary, and 2, the submission of the interconnection agreement with the electric service provider prior to issuance of land use permits. The action should be to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation is to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and grant the CUP with those proposed conditions.
Okay, you've seen the board action for Nathan Paulzine, request for CUP for a solar field. Looking for a motion.
How big, how many acres is it?
It's 2 panels.
Oh.
It's really more of a individual site, but because they have the interconnection to sell back to the electric service provider, it requires conditional use permitting. They're, if I remember right, 2 60-footers or something like that.
Right.
And it's really intended to,
Rows might be the better way to say it, but.
right,
Yeah, it's just small. It's not
yeah,
an acre type.
intended to power, they have a little kind of hobby farm site, a shed, and their house.
And they honestly thought they wouldn't be selling anything back. They thought they'd be utilizing everything that they were producing, but they have to have the connection.
Right.
Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, and lastly, Jason J. Koblenz request for CUP. An application for conditional use permit was received on July 13th to establish a retail greenhouse on parcel 2600343000. That was the same as the last one. I'm gonna have to get that. And located in R10 zoning. The item was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August 4th public hearing. The recommendation from the Planning Commission is to grant the CUP with the following conditions. 1, the greenhouse operator must provide adequate off-street parking for all greenhouse traffic. No parking will be allowed within the road right-of-way. No loading or unloading of materials will be allowed within the road right-of-way. And 3, the business is restricted to a single greenhouse structure. Construction of additional greenhouses will require the review of the Planning Commission. And 4, that the applicant must obtain permitting and or licensing from additional government agencies as necessary. The options are to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, remand back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. The recommendation would be adopt the findings of the Planning Commission to grant the CUP with those proposed conditions.
Okay, you've seen the board action in regards to the CUP for the granting, for the permission of the greenhouse. Did you have a correction on the parcel number? Is that what it was, Adam?
Yes, I think it's almost the identical parcel number, but one of those was in the wrong township, because I have 26
Okay.
for both. This one's right off, north of the furniture, on the corner of, I think it's 16 and 18, there's that furniture shop there. It's the property just to the north of that.
Okay.
I'm not sure which township that is. Okay.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Reports, auditor treasurer.
Okay, just right off the bat, and I apologize, November 14th for your road meeting at 8:15, we have canvassing for the general election. And that was not on my phone calendar, and I apologize, but, in texting Jolene, my chief, she
Oh.
said we should be done in a half hour, so
That's at 8:15.
8:15, and we had to have that time and date to match courts.
And we also then have a personnel, which would be at
And that
9.
would-
Yes.
So that's why I wanted to
I think
clarify.
we still
So-
have ample time.
Okay,
Yeah, but if they're in personnel,
Well, they won't start personnel till 9, is that
Right.
correct?
won't
Yeah,
start
that's
till you're done canvassing.
Canvassing, Gary is the only one that cannot be on the canvassing board.
Okay.
So between the 4 of you, you can pick 2 people. So
Okay.
that's an update that I wanted to get off right away. A reminder that city, school, town, our school district and 7 townships, their election closing today for board members, when you wanna apply. So if you know of anybody that wants to apply for those positions within a city, a school district, for board members or 7 townships, they are to contact those. That closes today at 5. Mobile home taxes, first half are due August 31st. I think that's all I had on my list of. I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and I did wanna say, out of the 365 pages, I wanna thank Jolene because Friday evening, as we're all going home, she was here till 6 o'clock at night, getting them 365 pages posted to the web.
Posted.
So, if you thought you had trouble reading, bless her heart, and that she has a good husband, that she was here till 6 getting this posted.
Tell her thank you.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Commissioners report? Anybody?
Yeah, I just want to welcome our new county attorney to the boardroom
Yes.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you, and
Welcome, John.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Otherwise, coordinator report?
Mr. Chair, just a really quick update. There was a request to have our emergency management director talk a little bit today about the small business loan and the Minnesota housing loans that are available for the specific event on May 30th with Eagle Bend. He was not able to be here, but he is going to be on open mic tomorrow. So he will speak to those specific topics on open mic.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
All right, anything from the attorney's office?
No, nothing new, except, I'm in a bigger office today than I was
Nice.
last week.
Nice, and don't you have a new staff starting like quite soon too?
We have a new attorney starting after Labor Day.
After Labor Day, okay. I knew it was fairly soon where and that's the final kind of spot coming in, correct?
The final piece to
To the
the new
whole deal.
infield for the
Awesome.
county attorney's office, yes.
Awesome, all right. Otherwise,
That one will make sure and add an attorney's report to the bottom of the reports.
yep, sounds good. All right, anything else? Otherwise, we will adjourn for the month of August, and we will start our work session in 7 minutes or so.
so move.
To order, today's date, Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. Time is 10:36 a.m. And we have first on our agenda, ditch maintenance.
You want to go through them, or you want me to go through them?
You go for it.
Okay, so we already did the hours. Okay, so this is just the assessments for the year. I just wrote down what each of them are for. So ditch 4 is beaver expenses and county ditch inspector fees. Ditch 19 is the regular maintenance fund. Ditch 20 is beaver expenses and ditch inspector fees. Ditch 21 is beaver expenses. Ditch 26 was actually ditch inspector hours from the previous year. And we're just catching up and getting that to a 0. Ditch 27, beaver expenses, ditch inspector fees. Ditch 28, ditch 32, 34, 36, 41, and 43 are all beaver expenses and ditch inspector fees. And JD2 is the Douglas County expenses they send to us every year. Or shouldn't say every year, but when they have them.
So you killed a few beavers.
Yeah, yeah, these are my chronic ditches that always have issues. And ditch 27, we're assessing a little bit more in anticipation of a project next year, or in the next assessment time period. Oh, and then ditch 18 is just the, and you can explain that one, because I'm not sure how that works in the assessment world.
Well, I think Julian has it itemized here. It's a loan that was approved in December of 17 by the board, transferring $300,000 from the general fund to cover the expenses incurred for this project until assessments are paid and received in full. Then the county board adopted unique payback terms by a resolution in 18 due to the size of the project, and so beginning in payable 2019, the entire amount of expenses with a 10-year repayment at 2% interest was established. The first principal payment of $70,441.51 was approved by the board in December of 19 to transfer from ditches to general fund. The second principal amount of $33,833.84 was approved December of 2020, and the third principal of $20,121.58 was approved December 21 to transfer. So it's just showing that we are doing what we said we would do. And then as of 12/30/21, the amount due back to the general fund is $175,603.07. Amount collected so far in 2022 in 6 months worth of taxes was $10,515.24. And we do have a total unpaid value of $11,332.78. So that's the update on County Ditch 18 from the loan that was secured inter-county for the ditch process of 18.
That's all I had, unless you guys have any questions.
Yeah, Denise, if someone doesn't pay their taxes that are on this, how do you calculate it as amount due, and it gets paid whenever they pay their taxes, or?
Yeah, their interest will occur just like normal non-payment of
Okay.
taxes. It's just that this will show unpaid,
Yeah.
and it'll be hanging out there until it is paid.
Until it is
Or
paid.
until it forfeits, and
Or
then
sold,
at
or
the
whatever.
time of
Okay.
forfeiture, then whatever we collect in the sale will be paid back to
Yeah.
the loan. And usually when people get to about that third year, then they start working at either making a payment plan or going out and finding funds.
And getting it paid off.
Banks or some
Yeah.
type of loan, or use their credit cards to get caught up,
Mm-hmm,
because they know they're hitting that threshold of losing it.
yeah. It's 3 years now, right?
I have a question so this was a 10-year repayment plan.
Yep.
Are we ahead of schedule? But did a lot of people prepay their total amount?
Correct.
Okay, so I thought that was kind of probably ahead of what we'd be at halfway point.
Yeah, that happens too. When we set these up, we give them the option to prepay. And some do take advantage of that, so they don't have that hanging over their head.
That's why in year one, you're seeing 70,000
Right.
being paid back.
What happens with the 2% interest rate then?
Not all of the first year would have interest, is they could prepay without interest.
Okay, but going forward, the 2% goes into the ditching or goes back into the county? Goes into the county as a funding source?
That's all I had, unless you guys have more questions on it.
Nope.
No?
Should be good.
Okay. All right, then we're gonna move on to, you have 42 up first? Okay. So ditch 42, I'm not sure if any of you remember this from years ago. I doubt it, because a lot of stuff happened back in the day. So this ditch system, I did my ditch inspector report. I got a report of the tile line that's between Felix Lake and Center Lake. There being another sinkhole developing in this. This ditch system was built in 1917, and the ditch line between Center Lake and Felix Lake was a cement tile line. They're 2-foot sections, 24 inches round. In the documentation, the original plan was they were supposed to have been cemented together back in 1917, and I found documentation that they were not cemented together, they were just abutted together. And so over the years, we've been having issues with the tile line. In 1986 was the first time we started having issues. A section of it was collapsed and was holding back water on the rest of the system. The landowner submitted a petition to have the tile line replaced at that time. There was nothing that said why it was never done, but I believe it was because of cost. The cost to have it completed, that they didn't do it. But then in 1987, the DNR stepped in, and actually I think they'd been trying to do this project previously and never got anywhere with it. And now that this tile line was failing, they saw this as an opportunity to come in and offer assistance for the permission to do a restoration project on Center Lake. So they did the survey. They figured out what level the lake should be at that would not cause any detrimental effects to the surrounding landowners. So they put in a control structure to hold the water at that level, and they also repaired 200 feet of the tile that was collapsing on that one. And they also televised the tile line and then provided that televised videotape to the county. And at that time, Engineer Lorsing did review that whole tile line, and I have the report on that. And at that time, 50% of the tile line was in poor condition. So they did replace that first 200 feet. I have no documentation what it was replaced with. I'm assuming it wasn't cement, but I don't know that for sure. But that tile line was replaced. And then in 1995, landowner, which would be the Durheims on that property, reported the tile line collapsing approximately 616 feet south of Center Lake. From the documentation I found on that, it was also not repaired at that time. The landowner was just told to farm around it, and I have all the documentation. Dwayne Lorson was the one that went out and did the inspection at that time and made the recommendation that they just farm around the area. They lost, like, I guess, 25 square feet of field if they just farmed around it. September 2012 was when we did that repair of the outlet of Felix Lake. If you want to scroll up on that one. No, sorry, I always say up when I mean down.
Thought you wanted to go to the map.
No, so that's the, that was the project that there was 2 pieces of the 2-foot tile that broke off, and there was a 20-foot piece of cement culvert that broke off, and that whole area washed out. And so we did the replacement. We got rid of the 2 concretes and just sleeved a new culvert over the top of the existing concrete, cemented that in, and then did this as the outlet. There is also still it's not on this picture because it hadn't been installed yet, but the contractor also put a rodent guard on that culvert. So this is what we did with the Felix Lake outlet, that restoration project. So now you can scroll down, up.
Can we go back to what you were talking about?
I'm past all that already.
Okay.
So now this is what's developing there right now. This was taken June 22nd by the gentleman that rents this field. So there's a sinkhole, and then if you go down to the next picture, you can see there's a wet line there. So the tile is backed up, is backing up water onto the Center Lake control structure. The water is making the path of least resistance and going around that control structure on one side. So this, I don't have exact documentation, but I think this may be the same spot that had the problem before, that they were told to farm around it. And the landowner, the original landowner, doesn't really remember. He's getting older, so he doesn't really remember. So they want something done with this tile line. So they've been kind of kicking the can down the roads for a long time. And so now something needs to be done with it, or some decisions need to be made with it. So I did contact NBC Drainage just to get an estimate that I could bring today, for an idea of what to do with it. So that 2140 feet is probably not the accurate footage, because if they did that 200-foot section, we probably can remove that. And that was the old documentation from original design. I don't know if it ended up being that long when they actually installed it, so we would have to actually figure out how long it is for the length of foot we would need. But for the dual wall, it includes stripping the topsoil and crushing the old cement line. When I talked to Mo Durheim, he was kind of not happy that they were going to leave the old cement line there and crush it. But the regulations on trenching, they would have to excavate so much dirt to go as deep as they would need to go to actually remove that tile line. The cost would be, are you guys familiar with how tile lines, where they have to do staging to go down because of trenching? They can't just make a straight down trench. So they would not be able to remove this cheaply. We could do it, but it would cost a lot of money to actually remove this. So NBC Drainage just said they can just crush it right in place and leave it there. And then they would go a couple feet over so that the old cement pieces aren't touching the new tile line. Go a couple of feet over and then put the new tile line in. It would be the dual wall. And so it's $55 per foot to do the labor, stripping of the topsoil, and then crushing that old cement line. And then to repair that structure would be, this has to be hammered out a little better as to a more of a quote, because I don't know how they're going to connect to the existing control structure on Center Lake. They'd have to figure out how to connect to that, because I'm not positive what's there. And then they would also have to preserve that outlet structure we already have on Felix Lake and make sure that's not damaged. So they're going to have to connect to that. So that would also be a little more work than just putting in tile. So the total for just the tile is that $117,700, and that's just an estimate. This is not a total quote until we're ready to actually do a project, and then I'll get a tighter quote on it. So possibly could cost $121,200 or more.
Nancy, are they going to use cement piping again?
No.
No, okay.
No, they would use this dual walled tile as a plastic.
Okay, I was going to say, there's got to
Oh,
be something
yeah.
better.
Yeah, it's a
out there
plastic.
now.
It's a
Okay.
plastic tile. So, and I did talk to him about the concern if they crush it and leave it, about it, shifting
Yep.
and pushing into the other, and he said no, that they would do it enough away that they feel, in the past, their other history of stuff, they haven't had issues with it shifting and stuff, so. And this whole area is sand, so it should make a pretty good bed with the sand rather than having clay and other soil types down there, because it is mostly a sand area.
So I'll be honest with you, the 121,000 isn't that bad, because if this was the Sauk River watershed
know.
project,
Well-
it would have a $100,000 engineering cost.
I know.
and
Well, we're
then-
not done yet.
Then you would do a $100,000
Redetermination.
redetermination. So before you even get any dirt turned, you're looking at $250,000
Yep,
with them guys.
yep.
So, I know the landowners down there, some of them are gonna be upset.
Yep. And here's the other problem. We have to follow ditch law.
Yep.
And over a certain dollar amount in ditch law, over a certain
103E.
over a certain
150-year
amount of
law.
benefits, could require a redetermination of benefits, because it's gonna be more than the original benefits of the ditch.
Yep.
So, but I think this is where I have to consult with Ricky Noonan to find out if the board ordered it, can we do it without having to worry about what the original benefits were, and not do a redetermination of benefits. The other thing is, we're gonna have to have public hearings. So do we let the landowners decide if they wanna do a redetermination of benefits? I've got do you wanna bring up the map with the benefited acres on it? I think it's the only, do I have it on there? I think I did. I
Oh,
sent
yeah.
it to you. There you go. Okay, so that map right there. The purple outlines are the benefited areas. The blue outlines are the catchments. Catchments are the minor watersheds of a larger watershed. So where the main blues or purple boxes are, that's the top catchment of this watershed. And then the next down catchment would be the blue to the left. And then the next down catchment from that would be the one right around Center Lake. So if a redetermination was done, they would look at those three catchments. And so, scooch it back.
So Center Lake empties into Felix?
Center Lake empties into Felix, yes.
Okay, and then where's Felix empty into?
It goes across 6, and it's County Road 6, and I'm not sure what water body it goes into on that side. I would have to look. Yeah. Yep. So.
It goes into that big wildlife management area,
Yep.
off of 98, down to Fuller Lake.
Okay.
So most of the first catchment's already on the assessment roll. You know, a small part of the second catchment is, and then most of that third catchment is. So whenever I look at these, I always say how much land could be brought in. It's possible the stuff that's left in section 15 and 10 up there that aren't in there could possibly be brought in, but I can't tell you that until it's actually done. I don't know how much dollar amounts will shift for people, because, you know, there was the one landowner that had two parcels that were quite large amounts of money. I don't know what his assessment would look like. It's kind of to me, it's always a crapshoot, because they're gonna bring it to today's values and they're gonna bring it to today's crop values. So even though you bring more people into the system, is it really going to lower the dollar amount that some of these people would be paying now without a redetermination? So it always makes me nervous, because I don't know.
So my next question would be, Kurt Dieters is retired,
Yes, he is.
correct?
Yep. Yep. So I'm actually gonna ask Kurt who is gonna be most like his style.
So is it in the best interest of this board or the ditch board to go shopping for a new?
I'm assuming that that's what Kurt's going to recommend, and as far as I know, Ricky Noonan is still really the only ditch attorney in the state, unless you guys know of one I don't know about. So.
Regelman was one that we had hired on JD2 from, where the hell was he from? New Ulm?
Someplace down south.
I think so. He was originally from Melrose.
Okay, Bregelman?
I think so. I'll do some research on that.
Yeah. So yes, Kurt will not be, he's gonna be there till the end of the year. And if I call there and talk to him, I'm sure he's going to give me a little advice and then suggest which other one of his attorneys we could go with.
All right.
So if you're wanting to look at other offices.
Well, maybe we should. I don't know. That's up to the other four, but, you know.
Yeah, because if we're gonna get moving on this, I was going to be calling him this week or next week to start.
John in their office represents the watershed,
Yeah.
and I want to keep ourselves pretty
Yeah,
much separated from that watershed.
I was thinking of using Kale. Do you know, have you ever met Kale?
Yeah, he comes to the watershed meetings
Okay.
once in a while, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
John's kind of intense, so I would kind of like to stay with somebody who's more of Kurt's personality, kind of a little more
I
laid
agree.
back and a
Yep.
little more.
I agree with you, because that's, you get in some tenuous meetings with this. Okay.
Yep. So I was gonna ask Kurt, in his opinion, which of the rest of the attorneys that are there would be most close to his ideas and how he interprets ditch law and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So anyway, there's gonna have to be hearings. There is a irrigator system out there right now, but it is not rolling over this exact spot, so that's a good thing. I guess, I don't know if you can give me the direction at this meeting, or if I have to bring it to an actual board meeting for a resolution, but I just was looking for permission to move forward and start talking to an attorney, because it's gonna create bills, so I just wanted to make sure that I had that permission to move forward with that.
And you have to do that at a board meeting.
At a board meeting,
Okay,
you have to bring
so
that
I'll-
back. This is
so I'll
just
bring it
work
to the-
session discussion.
Okay, so I'll bring it to the next board meeting then, just so I can start spending money. And then,
You could start checking for lawyers, see what,
Yeah.
for what?
for the
Lawyers.
lawyers,
Yeah,
what you
yep.
find.
I gotta be careful with that, because if I even call Kurt and mention
Well,
a
I
ditch
suppose you-
name, they're gonna send me a bill. So, but yeah, I'll ask him what's, without including a ditch, what who he would recommend. So, so anyway, like I said, this one's been kicked down the road for quite a while. Do we want to deal with it now? I don't know. I don't think they're gonna go for just don't farm over it this time.
No.
And then I also thought, could we reroute it? Could we take the tile totally out of their field and go around? Do an open ditch around? That would all take engineering to determine if it was actually gonna flow in the right direction if we did an open ditch around it. So I don't know. All
Run into
things that,
issues there, too.
you what?
Run into issues there with the
Yeah.
ditch.
Yeah, because who wants an open ditch on their property, so.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's lots of decisions that are going to need to be made as to what to do with it. So I will start with finding out an attorney name. I will bring something to the next board meeting for that. And then we're gonna have to do hearings, informational meeting and hearings. So. Okay? All right, then. All right, so the next one is ditch 27. And this one's easy. Okay, so I got contacted by Dave Herron about a section of ditch that he wants cleaned. So basically the section that goes from the lake to then the intersection of the parcel lines, right there, just that section right there. It's about 760 feet of the main ditch. There was no ordinary high water level survey done, so I actually requested that from the DNR, so now we have an ordinary high water level survey. There's about 3 feet of silt in the ditch line. You can't really even see the ditch line, but that actually is, between those trees is the ditch line. There's a large amount of trees, and then there's a large amount of trees lying across the ditch. The crossing that's there is the reason there's no water, because the crossing's holding back water, and it's rerouting itself around, and coming in a different direction. It's actually coming in through those private laterals that are, you can go other way. Do I have a map? Okay.
Yep, you do.
So it's actually going, where you see Grace Lake is there, there's the private laterals there in section 17. The water's actually rerouting around that and then coming into the main ditch. So basically, it's just a request to clean that short section of ditch. I need to find out from the DNR how close to the lake they'll let us get, or how far into the lake they'll let us go, because the ditch was designed to go into the lake. But that's the beginning of it, not an outlet, so they likely will let us clean more into the lake as long as it's not the, well, that is the outlet to the ditch, yeah. So I'll have to see how far in they'll let us clean. We've got the ordinary high water level, so that culvert that's put in will be set at whatever that ordinary high water level is to make sure it doesn't drain the lake. So I'm hoping to get a meeting set up between myself, Kason from Soil and Water, and the contractor to meet out there next Wednesday, so I can get a bid from the contractor, and then just Kason's got to go out there anyway, so we figured we'd go at the same time. And then I'll just bring something to a future board meeting.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Give me a minute.
All right. Preliminary 2023 budget and 2023 levy discussion.
And I'm just getting my presentation, so it'll be just a minute. Will you be able to tap, did you bring yours up? Oh. Let me grab mine. 'Cause it's not new. That's what happens. She's gonna run and get her computer because this laptop is not updated for my information, unfortunately. Remember when I said I had little helpers that set this up in the morning for me? It just depends on how they set it up. You were just also excited to hear about the budget, weren't you?
Yeah. The Historical Society, the way you guys state that, that's, you know, 'cause then they got 1 year of giving this excess money, and then you can come back next year and see what they actually spent and what they actually needed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mad I
It's
sent her
funny,
a goose
they didn't
chase.
apply for that 10,000 ARPA money,
Who's that?
the library, or I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, I wonder
not
if
the
they did.
library, but the
Museum.
historical
Right.
museum. They could apply for that 10,000 ARPA fund,
Yeah, they
Would
could
have
have,
thought so.
yeah.
yeah.
All right, if you guys are ready.
Yes.
All right, so today I'm here to present the preliminary 2023 budget and 2023 levy discussion. Some key factors, two of you of the four that are here today sit on the finance, so this will be information you're aware of. We're just here to inform the full board. Key expense factors for 2023 budget was the economic impacts due to inflation that we're going to see. We're already feeling it at home in our own utility bills, cost of living. So we're already predicting we're gonna see that here. We had department heads come forward with, you know, they're already predicting high cost of fuel and things like that. So those are some things we had to look at. Of course, health insurance, that's a big thing, even in your home, you know, that's always going up. The county has to look at that and be mindful for that, as well as we still look at our capital building improvement projects. Even though COVID or ARPA money has helped facilitate and lessen the burden for taxpayers on some of our big projects that came up, we still have our solid waste project, our public works building we're building for, funds for something in the future down the road. Todd County, just our overall general maintenance fund, and the rock wall project. Some of the finance committee timelines, just to inform the public, that we do work hard at this. August, well, no, I skipped ahead here. May 11th of 2020 was the first time we dispersed budget sheets to all of our county department heads for them to work on. We did several rounds of visiting with them. Our first round to our department heads was reviewed on June 2nd, June 6th, and June 8th. And at that time, oh man, I gotta blow this up. I can't do that. At that time, the net budget that we came in with our levy, the way it was $19,442,877. That was a 3.52 increase from the previous year, and that was as of June 28th. The total net levy was $17,881,170, which was an increase of 3.83 from previous year. The Finance Committee did go through all the line items. We made suggestions, recommendations, kind of looked at what was trending and what we thought could be cut. Of course, our number one concern throughout this whole process, and a saying that we kind of deemed as our logo, was make the cuts you can make without affecting services. I kind of think that was embedded into our brains and preached every time we met with somebody. So round two came after some cuts were made, and we visited with departments on June 28th, July 19th, and July 26th, with our last one being August 10th. And we were happy to say that through all the cuts, and I thank all the department heads for working so hard at making these cuts, wherever they thought they could make it, they made it. We were really hard on some of our large fund departments. We called them in several times, asking for more, and they came through and really sharpened their pencils. So our total net budget then was $18,854,417, which was 0.38% increase from last year. That's astounding when you're thinking cost of living and inflation and everything that we're seeing going up in today as a residual from COVID times. That's awesome work, which gave us an overall total net levy of $17,260,754, bringing that just 0.23 increase from last year. The budget reduction overall, $588,460 was made through these reviews, and the levy reduction was $624,16. Again, can't thank the team players that came to the table. I think this thing is moving faster than me. So here we are today, August 16th. The Finance Committee is presenting to you the update to the board, where the preliminary stands. Of course, this is a preliminary, so if you have ideas or suggestions where you could see cuts or would like us to visit with other departments once again, we can do that. I'm just telling you at this point in time, we did the best of our due diligence after hearing from the people at the Expo building this spring. We know there was 200 plus people. They wanted action taken, and I feel that the Finance Committee and the department heads of this county did an awesome job at fulfilling that and lessening the burden of the taxpayers. To present a preliminary of 0.3% from last year is astonishing. And so looking forward, we have to be mindful to, the reason we keep a balanced budget is we don't know how legislative proposals may turn out. They may change or do unfunded mandates or change CPA next year. This year we did see a little bit of an increase with helped. Also, you have to take into account that in getting this levy down to 0.23, we did not use any fund balance. The next page will show you, I will give you a list of departments, and you'll see where the increases and decreases came and how we arrived at that local levy of 0.23. And you'll see program aids did go up a little bit. But the nice thing to say is we are not using any fund balance, which is great. We have done that in the past. We don't want to use fund balance, just looking forward, because we don't know the unknowns of what inflation is going to do, and we have to be mindful for that. I don't know if you have any questions so far. If I'm going too fast, just tell me. It seems like when I present, I talk faster. Well, so what is next then is we're here to present it today to the board so they all can see it, because there's two of you that sit on this, so you've been with us in the drudges going through this. We would like to, with your recommendation, to bring this to the September 6th board meeting for approval and go with the numbers that we have arrived at. So at that time, we can set the preliminary budget and levy, because we will have to, by the end of the month of September, get this reported to the state. And then at that time, we'd also like to set the TNT meeting date, time, and location. So that's what we're looking at. If you guys have any questions, now's the time to shoot them at myself or Jolene. Or the other finance people that I'd like to thank that sit on this is Chair Erickson and Vice Chair Newman and Coordinator Chris Pelzer. So we're kind of a team that have been sharpening the pencils and putting people on the chopping block. And like I said, I can't thank the department heads enough. Everybody came through with flying colors and I think did an amazing job at bringing in reductions without putting the burden on the taxpayers or on our fund balance.
I want to thank the department heads for, you know, in June there was 3.58 or whatever it was. and
Yes.
Get it down to, you know, this much, it's pretty amazing that they'd be able to do that.
Yeah, they did a really good job at, and I think as each year budget cycle goes through, I think they learn more and more how to, like some that are new, to look at the trending, what they had done in the last couple of years, what they budgeted for and what they actually spent. And they were able to analyze and see, you know, are we over budgeting? Are we under budgeting? Are we overstating the revenues? And they were able to flatline some of those without causing detriment to services, so.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Right, if you guys have any questions that you think of later, feel free to reach out to us or to department heads. I'm sure everybody can answer for their departments, or my staff can answer an overall question. But thank
Denise,
you for your time.
where are our bonds at right now? I know it's been a year since I was in the finance, but we've been paying down on our bonds.
Yep, and you see
since-
that on that line here, it's bonded
Yeah, I seen
indemnity
that, yeah.
is down a little bit because we are getting our interest paid off. She probably has the budget book there, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
and I can go down, stop down, look too. But I see that they're going down, and I know there was at some point,
because we're on that one of we're just getting the interest paid.
right,
So
that
we're
we
making
couldn't,
big chunks of
yes.
interest payments to that one,
yeah,
and that's why it's showing up here.
okay.
Yes. Yes, it's nice to be less some of those burdens.
Okay. Yep, that we couldn't pay. Yep,
Forgiving program, and the other one is the large bond, taken for, the historic courthouse renovation.
okay.
And they are both scheduled to be paid off in the year 2026 and 2027.
That's not far out at all. No. Good, okay, thank you.
One other comment I'd like to make is that, just so the taxpayers know that we are trying to lessen their burden, and by doing that, some of our large capital improvements were able to be run through CARES and ARPA money, which helped not having to go to the taxpayer and ask for their help in taxes to help offset those big
Yeah, I mean, all of our roofs and,
roofs.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that helped too. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. Cool. And then with that, we will adjourn the work session.